Hey guys, and welcome back to Warcraft Daily for today, the 12th of January 2014. This is likely to be a bit of a shorter episode. Only one or two things happened over the week. I'm actually working ahead on some videos for next week and developing a new sort of method for filming my lore videos. It should turn out quite nicely. Anyway, so for the news we have some hotfixes, some chat from Twitter, and then just some stats from MMO Champion. So the hotfixes, they have actually changed abilities which reduce the target player's caster speed, so they now give a 10% reduction in that cast speed, which is down from a previous 25. I'm guessing they just think those abilities were too harsh and too punishing on the other player, therefore they're taking them down, and that's fair enough, I suppose. Often in World of Warcraft, we have these instant abilities which don't really have much risk. There's no risk associated with casting them, yet they could be considered to be a little bit powerful in what they do. The similar argument is actually used against, say, instant CCs and things like that, because there's less skill and there's not as much of a decision behind using that ability as there is with something that has, say, a cast time or some sort of other, drawback to it, I guess. Anyway, so the next thing in the news is some stuff from Twitter. And first of all, Chris Robertson said that they do understand that there is desire for a Garrisons update. He's not really sure exactly when it will come, but it is on the radar, so that's very nice. Honestly, the update they have, or the information on Garrisons, isn't that fantastic, and they could definitely do a better visual job of portraying that, so that's all good. Then, according to Dave Malonda, no, wait a second, Malanada, it's a cool name. Anyway, so according to him, he says that there's actually a problem with the Cloud Serpents, and I only just noticed this after I saw it on Twitter, but your player's character model can actually shrink when you get on it. And it turns out this was actually put in because there was a last-minute issue with saddles, and players just ended up being like absurdly huge on them, so thankfully they did have a bit of a fix, but it is a slight issue with players. It would be nice if sometime, maybe when they get the spare time to work on a mount, that they could actually fix these. The Cloud Serpents are really nice mounts, and it is a little bit strange. That said, even though I never really noticed that, I've always thought there was something a little bit shifty with the saddles on them. I never thought they were as good as they could have been. I'm not particularly sure why, but, well, no, I am now sure why. Anyway, so, there's some stuff from Watcher. This is interesting. First, he said that right now they're actually quite happy with steady progress in Siege of Orgrimmar, and they prefer targeted nerfs rather than a blanket one for the whole instance. This was in relation to people saying, you know, we're a little bit through Siege of Orgrimmar now, and often Blizzard do just like 10%, 20% nerf. Well, he said that right now it's not on the table. Of course, it probably will happen, say, a month or two before Siege. A month or two before Warlords. But as for, right now, they're happy with progression, especially at, the higher-end heroics. People are steadily getting kills, therefore they don't really want to screw things up too much, and really it's just targeted nerfs are the only thing they would consider, though they haven't really been doing many of them, so I'm going to say the balance is probably quite good for Siege of Orgrimmar. He also said that they are working on making melee a little bit more viable, especially in heroics, that's heroic raids. So yeah, range has had a bit of a advantage on melee, I guess, where ranged, okay, if everyone is completely standing still, the melee people should ideally get slightly more damage than us ranged people, but right now, just because of the way fight mechanics are, it's kind of hard for melee. And one of the things too is, fights that are ultra melee friendly often don't really involve much movement, they don't involve much in the way of things on the floor or just that kind of mechanic, I suppose. So perhaps it's a little bit of a problem with encounter design where some of those really cool movement intensive encounters that are a lot of fun are just going to be a bit punishing on melee, so I'm not really sure how they get rid of this problem. Honestly, I still think that they should have those fights that are kind of complex, interesting, with lots of movement, and yeah, maybe they are not as good for melee, but at least they should be balancing that out with fights that do lean a little bit more towards melee. It's really just, I think, balancing how many fights are better suited to each kind of style, I suppose. Anyway, so he also said the Dragon Soul was probably a little bit too small, while Siege of Orgrimmar was probably a bit too large. And actually, I agree, and I did send a tweet to him saying pretty much I would like, ideally I'd like maybe some of the Sartharian, Gruul, or Onyxia style sort of distraction encounters. I actually think these are really nice because while you were doing like your main tier, you could just pop off for a bit, or you could maybe pug one of these smaller things. They were nice, they were quick, they were bite-sized, and I actually think they were a ton of fun. So it would definitely be really nice. Now, in terms of Dragon Soul and Siege of Orgrimmar, Dragon Soul was something that the fights were all easy. The end fight was also extremely just boring. To give you an example of how easy this was, on normal mode, my guild cleared the first 4 bosses. It was either 4 or 5 in the first night. And it's not like we are up there competing with Method or Paragon or anything crazy like that. So Dragon Soul was A, too easy, and B, just too damn small. Then also Siege of Orgrimmar, he said was perhaps a little bit too large. I think everyone was really excited with this 14 boss thing, but then what you realise is that there's a giant slog in getting back to where you were. Honestly, I think that maybe 2 raids would be better than one 14 boss raid, even if they were both to have the same art. And the reason I say that is because just from managing people's time and that whole aspect, it's just a lot better. 14 is kind of humongous. That said though, I am very happy with the fact that they got 14 full raid encounters made, and personally I think that the vast majority of them are very fun, and they are definitely in the top tier in terms of quality with what Blizzard have done. Then finally he said that going into Siege of Orgrimmar they completely overestimated, or underestimated, whatever, Warlock DPS. This was mainly due to front-loading the unaired vision pre-nerf. I have no idea what this unerring vision stuff means, but yeah, Warlocks are doing pretty crazy high DPS, and Blizzard have said that the reason they're not nerfing Warlocks at the minute is because for the guilds who are still progressing at a slow but steady rate, they don't want to just start adding in all these nerfs to mess things up. It was interesting though, a lot of people were saying, as an example, if you take, compare Hunters to Warlocks, Warlocks have more utility, they have significantly more damage. Why bring a Hunter? Can I have more Hunter utility? That's a question that was asked, but then what they said back was, what you're describing is a Warlock problem, not a Hunter problem. I think a lot of people see a Warlock and they think, oh wow, that thing's doing so much damage, my class is clearly broken. No, actually the problem is that Warlocks are just a little bit overtuned at the minute. So just bear that in mind. Anyway, so for the final bit of news today, we just have some miniature stats from MMO Champion about the completion rates. So, right now, 9% of active players since November the 26th have killed Garrosh on either Normic is not a word. Normal or heroic difficulty. And then, 46% have killed him on any difficulty. This means that 37% have killed him on either Flex or LFR, which is actually kind of interesting. I suppose that Flex was actually, in Blizzard's terms, surprisingly popular, so therefore these numbers are quite consistent. It's interesting though, 9% have killed Garrosh on normal. Honestly, I don't think that's particularly bad. Especially when you take into consideration the way that normal mode is really rather easy for the first 8 bosses, then the difficulty level really does ramp up. I'd be very interested to see what the kill rates are for things like Nazgrim. Actually, we probably have the stats somewhere, but just stuff for Nazgrim and maybe whoever the hell's after him, Malkorok. But yeah, the difficulty definitely does spike up towards the end. I know in terms of my guild, we definitely found that, and yeah, I guess I may find out, like, myself when I get back into raiding. I just don't know if I'll have the time. But anyway, that's it for today's rather short Warcraft Daily. The good news is I'm working on a lot of lore videos, and they should start to be coming out next week, along with some other things, so everything's really looking up with the channel. It's pretty happy days. So thank you very much for watching. Please like if you like the video, and I'll see you later.